So Ambassador Budak is going to introduce you also. Yes, Sebastián Brugo Marco is also connected.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to arrange my screen. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Ambassador.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Apakan, Ambassador, good morning. It's a distinct pleasure to extend my cordial greetings to all of you here today at CARI in Buenos Aires. We are gathered here for a significant event that explores a critical chapter in Turkish history and its profound implications on modern Turkish foreign policy. We are here to gain insights into the Lausanne Treaty of 1923 and its impact on modern Turkish policy, a topic of great historical and contemporary relevance. The Lausanne Treaty of 1923 is a cornerstone in the history of the Turkish Republic. It marked a new beginning for our nation, establishing the foundation for a sovereign, modern, and democratic Turkey. This treaty signifies the birth of the Republic of Turkey, of whom we will commemorate its 100th anniversary 5 days later. This treaty not only reshaped our political landscape, but also had a profound impact on our foreign policy, setting the stage for our country's emergence on the world stage. Today's conference presents us with a unique opportunity to delve into the historical and geopolitical significance of this treaty, and more importantly, to consider its relevance to contemporary Turkish policy. We are, and I am in personal, honored to have Ambassador Ertuğrul Apakan, an eminent diplomat and scholar, as our distinguished speaker. I had the honor to work under his guidance in New York in 2010-2011. His insights, experience, and expertise in the realm of international relations are invaluable, and we are eagerly anticipate his presentation. Also, this event is not only a testament to the close ties between Turkey and Argentina, but also a testament to the enduring strength of the partnership between our two countries. Our relationship is built upon long-lasting friendship, mutual respect, and common interests. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to CARI for hosting this conference and for their unwavering dedication to promoting international dialogue and cooperation. The work of CARI is instrumental in bringing together diplomats, scholars, and experts to discuss the vital issues of our time, and I thank them for their ongoing support of such endeavors. In closing, I want to express my deepest and warmest appreciation to my mentor, Ambassador Ertuğrul Apakan, for gracing us with his expertise today from the other part of the world, to Ambassador Vázquez for acknowledging the importance of the topic as it relates to current affairs, and to all of you for being here. I look forward for a stimulating and enlightening discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for your introduction. You have such an extensive bio, Ambassador Apakan, that is, it will take us a long time to read it all, but I just wanted to signal that you have been Turkey's representative to the United Nations. You have had a substantial responsibility in the OSCE missions in Ukraine during the beginning of the conflict with Russia in the eastern regions of Ukraine. You have been posted in embassies, Turkish embassies in Vienna, Kuwait, and as I said, deputy in Geneva also, not only in New York. You have had so many responsibilities that we are very, very honored to have you here today. So, Ambassador Apakan, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for giving me the floor. Really, it's a privilege to address such a distinguished audience from Ankara, from quite a long distance. I'm thankful to Kari, and in particular to Ambassador Leila Vasquez for their kind invitation. I'm also thankful to Ambassador Budak. It's nice to see him again. And it's also nice to see my old friend, colleague, Sebastian, from the screen. Argentina is a friendly country for us. And Ambassador Budak informed me that our diplomatic ties go back as far as 1926. And our first ambassador began his duty in 1936, accompanied by a friendship and cooperation agreement in the same year. Before moving to the substance, I wish to say that we are living in Ankara, close to the Argentinian street, which has a prominent place in Ankara. So this is really, Argentina makes us, join us, or we have common values and norms for peace and welfare, which also makes us a real partner in the G20 and UN. Ambassador Budak already made some remarks about the national liberation struggle of Turks under Kemal Atatürk during the first quarter of the 19th century. I will give a little bit more details. The Ottoman Empire, together with Germany, against the Allied powers, UK, France, and Italy, in October 1980, signed the Mondros Armistice, Mondros Armistice. And then Allied powers in November 1980 occupied Istanbul and the Turkish Straits. The destiny of the Ottoman Empire was under discussion at the Paris Peace Conference. In particular, the British were planning to have a partition of the Turkish core territories of the Ottoman Empire. As a matter of fact, the Sevres Treaty of 10 August of 1920 put an end to the Ottoman Empire in a gradual manner. The Izmir area, it's my hometown, would be incorporated into Greece within 5 years. The Sultan retained Istanbul, but under Allied control. France and Italy would have a large zone of influence in the southeast and south of Anatolia, respectively. The Greeks, encouraged by Lloyd George, start to occupy Western Anatolia as of 19 May 1999. This is the moment when Mustafa Kemal took the lead to mobilize the Turkish people under a national liberation struggle in the political and military fields. He needed time to establish the authority of Grand National Assembly in Anatolia and to build up a regular army. And the assembly has been established on 23rd April 1920 in Ankara, and they have adopted a national pact which defined the territorial integrity and national frontiers of Turkey in line with the 1980 armistice, and emphasized the absolute independence for the Turkish nation and removal of capitulations to the Western powers. This is the moment when national pact guided the national liberation movement in terms of military struggle as well as in the field of diplomacy and politics. Turks started to balance the Russians against the West. The Russians were the traditional enemy of the Ottoman Empire. He used the tools of diplomacy. Also, Ankara government signed an agreement with France to consolidate southern frontiers, to some extent to balance the French against the British. All this happened following the Sakarya Battle of 1921 against the Greek army's campaign in central Anatolia. It was not so easy to move to the peace. The National Liberation War took almost 3 years, and the Turkish army entered to Izmir on the western coast of Anatolia, just opposite side of the Greece, on 9 September 1922. It was a critical moment. There were English fleet in the harbor, together with some French warships. And the Greek military were evacuating the region, and the Turkish troops after Izmir were moving in the direction of Istanbul and Straits, because Istanbul was under the occupation of Allied forces, and Thrace was also occupied by Greek troops who also withdrawn from Anatolia. That was a critical moment. The French emissaries moved to Istanbul to convince Atatürk for a ceasefire and armistice. Atatürk told them, Mustafa Kemal told them, that there was no need to make an armistice in Anatolia since the Greek troops were defeated. But there needs to be a deal on Thrace. Thrace is the European part of Turkey, neighboring Greece. He was asking the former territory of the Ottoman Empire, the Thrace, back to Ankara government. The Turkish troops moved to the barbed wires laid down by the British forces near the strait. And Turkish cavalry and British forces were somewhat so close to each other. It was a volatile situation, and the British government in London was alarmed. Lloyd George, the Liberal Prime Minister of Great Britain, was looking for opening a new front against the Turks in Thrace. With the help of dominions, Australia, Canada, even they asked support from some Balkan countries. But Lloyd George project has failed. Dominions couldn't provide any further troop contribution to the Great Britain. Curzon, the Conservative Foreign Minister, was rather thinking differently. His thought was to establish a ceasefire line, a contact line in Thrace in order to move peace conference. General Harrington in Istanbul, the commander of the Allied forces, the British forces, tried to reach Atatürk by cables. And they somewhat discussed the issues through cables. This has been helpful, but the situation took almost 1 month for the Turks to remove this obstacle. At the end, General Harrington didn't ask his troops to fire on progressing Turkish troops, and the Turkish troops moved into the neutral zone around the straits. This is the moment where Foreign Secretary Curzon was supporting General Harrington's wise attitude, and Mustafa Kemal's putting pressure on the Allied forces for moving to truce, armistice, or peace has been successful. He managed to deploy measured pressure, a reasonable attitude against Lloyd George himself. And the sides moved to Mondros armistice just after this event. This event is known as Çanak Affair. This is critical to the transition of the parties to a peace process. And Mondros armistice, the conference itself took place in the town of took place in Anatolia under the chairmanship of General İsmet İnönü, who was the commander of the Western Front. It took 1 week for the parties to get a deal on Thrace. The matter was Thrace. And the British don't want to let Turks move into the western part of Turkey, to the Balkan side of Turkey. I have to say that the backbone of Turkey is Anatolia. But we had territory for centuries in Balkans and in Europe. And since 1856, Ottoman Empire has been a part of the European political system. So Atatürk's attitude was right. At the end, Thrace was returned to Ankara government, and the armistice somewhat acknowledged the existence of Ankara government, somewhat recognized. This has been a turning point, an end of 11 years war since the Balkan Wars. This was a critical moment in our history. To get the First World War come to an end after 11 years of war. And Turkish people have been somewhat exhausted by the longevity of these war years. As a matter of fact, this Mudanya conference, Lord George resigned. The conservatives in London was somewhat exhausted with his friends, and he has been criticized together with Churchill for taking the country to the brink of war again. And with regard to the arrangements in Mudanya conference, the French used their good offices and facilitation in order to make this armistice a reality. In the end, Thrace was taken back from the Greeks without fighting, and it was decided the Allies would evacuate Istanbul and the Straits following the signing of the peace treaty. The military agreement was signed by the Greeks 3 days later. This marked the end of war between Turkey and Greece. It also opened up a new page in relation with the Allies, and 8,000 strong Turkish troops eventually entered Eastern Thrace. So that was the 1914 borderline between Turkey and Greece. The military agreement concluded in Mudanya brought a relief to the Turkish people. I have to say that eastern parts of Anatolia was devastated in the First World War from 1916 to 1921. The people in the western part of Turkey had suffered deeply. However, national boundaries of new Turkey took shape in line with the National Pact. This is the current national frontiers of Turkey. I tried to share with you how these frontiers emerge again, revitalized again as an outcome of national liberation movement. The new government in United Kingdom, chaired by Bonner Law, a conservative, and Curzon kept his seat as a foreign secretary. And Curzon represented the UK, the Great Britain, in Lausanne Conference. The Turkish side offered Izmir for the venue of the conference. The Allied powers made counter proposals such as Venice and Paris. At the end, they decided to have the conference in Lausanne in Switzerland. That is the first time when a conference of such magnitude was taking place in a neutral country. That was a part of the equality of the sides indirectly. So this brings me to the Lausanne Conference. Lausanne Conference took almost 8 months, convened on 20 November 1922 and remained in session until 4 February 1923. It reconvened on 23rd April, and the peace treaty was finally signed on 24 July 1923. It comprises 141 provisions, but it has also attached 16 conventions and bilateral arrangements. So the Lausanne Treaty is somewhat not only a peace treaty, but a treaty which comprises provisions for building a better relationship with, particularly with Western powers. But basically, it's a peace conference, peace between Turkey and the West major allies, Britain, France, Italy, and between Turkey and Greece. It recognized Turkey as an independent state, fixed its frontiers, and applied to it principles and standards of the modern world, as Mustafa Kemal has always insisted. The limitations on Turkish sovereignty were few. The demilitarization of the Straits, which in the event lasted for 13 years. There were also some unresolved issues. One of them was Mosul. Mosul is a province of current Iraq, which was a part of the Ottoman Empire with a Turkish population. Kherson made every effort to keep it under UK, under Great Britain mandate. And in the final analysis, Mosul now is with a very friendly country in Iraq. But 13 years later, Atatürk raised the security and international passage of the ships through the straits to the attention of major powers. And as a matter of fact, a new convention, Montreux Convention, has been signed on straits. When we speak about straits, it's Bosphorus and Dardanelles. What I'm trying to say, the Lausanne Treaty plus the Montreux Convention brought a system to the Black Sea, to the Aegean Sea, and to the region. They brought the notion of stability, security, and balance, not only to the bilateral relations of Turkey, but to the wider area. During the last 100 years, there was not a major change on the validity of this agreement. And legally, international legal institutions, including the International Court of Justice, considers Lausanne Treaty is a permanent political and legal tool governing the state of affairs in this vital region. This is a unique treaty. It didn't come out so easily. It was a product of a national liberation movement. In the first part of the conference, Curzon, who coordinated the positions of the Allied powers during the World War, was a dominant figure. He was the former governor of India. And in 1990, he also somewhat became the architect of the border drawn between Soviet Union and Poland. He was so influential in the conference. Another figure was the Greek Prime Minister, Venizelos, former Prime Minister of Venizelos. He was active not only in Lausanne Treaty, but also in Paris Conference. He's an experienced and knowledgeable diplomat and statesman. Against them, İsmet İnönü was a former commander and newly assigned foreign minister. But he has shown his ability and capacity in negotiating the armistice, armistice against the British, French, and Italians. Two sides started to the negotiations from differing positions. Lord Curzon was somewhat insisting on Sèvres Treaty of 10 August 1920, while the Turks were somewhat taking the national pact, which was asking for territorial integrity and independence of Turkey. So Curzon was speaking of the armistice of 1918, while Turks were speaking about the armistice of 1922. The Allied powers were considering themselves the winners of the First World War, but Turks were considering themselves the winners of the Turkish liberation movement, the Turkish liberation war. So it's the early 20th century. This is the time while inequalities were prevailing in the conduct of international relations. As a matter of fact, the Paris Conference, the Paris Agreement, ending the First World War, was a product of unequal relationship at the end of the war between Germany and Allied forces. This is the reason Mustafa Kemal was giving utmost importance to the equal status of the newly emerging state. Another concept which the Turks were promoting independence and national sovereignty. These were critical elements of the national pact versus the British, particularly Curzon, was speaking mostly on the basis of 19 imperial system. That was a big difference between the sides. That's the reason conference took 8 months. In the first part, mostly Turkish-Greek matters have been discussed between İnönü, Curzon, and Venizelos. And more or less, the borders, bilateral borders were fixed as balance in the Aegean Sea and Mediterranean with regard to islands have been established. And there, at that time, there was no territorial waters issue because the Treaty of Lausanne was envisaging only 3 miles for territorial waters. And all these things happened after the extension of the territorial waters from 3 miles to 6 miles, and mutual claims emerged. But what I would like to add, in our relationship with Greece, Lausanne is the proper basis for stability and balance. And Venizelos and Atatürk, Mustafa Kemal, following the conference, built up a cordial relation between the two countries. They were the architects of this friendship and solidarity. Although there has been some exchange of population between the two countries. And I have to say that Mustafa Kemal, even during the war, was thinking about a possible Turkish-Greek friendship in the future. Together with Venizelos, they somewhat established, I will repeat, a cordial relationship between the two countries. This also enabled in 1934 to have a Balkan Entente in the region. The period between the First World War and Second World War was turbulent and chaotic. During these years, Atatürk and İnönü acted with Venizelos and other Greek leaders to establish a harmony and stability in the wider region. During these years, even they were thinking to establish a Balkan Federation in the region. Similarly, Turkey has made a trilateral agreement between Afghanistan, Iran, and Turkey. Also, bilateral arrangements with Iran, Syria, and Iraq. What I would like to say, Lausanne Peace Treaty open up a harmonious relations for Turkey with its neighbors and with the international community. As a matter of fact, Turkey started to deploy some basic values of the dictum, Atatürk's dictum, peace at home and peace abroad. That was somewhat reflecting a collective security understanding for the whole region. This region is comprising religious, historical regions and potential crisis. Atatürk, with diplomacy and by political means, from the very start, has established with the Russians through Kars and Moscow agreements of 1921, the eastern border of Turkey. This had been valid for the southern borders with France, who was the mandate of Syria. So this brought 10 years of peace and harmony to the region, but also gave Atatürk the time to build the new republic. He modernized the country by making reforms in several fronts. A democratic republican understanding has been laid, and this has been reflected in the first constitution of 1921. This has been followed by the establishment of the Republic of 1923, modern Republic of Turkey, with a new constitution of 1924. These were democratic parliamentary systems inspired from democratic and pluralistic values, mostly originating from the French Revolution. And modernization was somewhat westernization of the country, with modern alphabet, emancipation of women, giving voting rights to the women in 1926, and somewhat building a new economy and making educational reforms. This was somewhat what the SDGs are trying to do now. As a matter of fact, when we were in New York, we shared our experience with the UN, Atatürk's time experience, how to transform the country to a more developed and modern one by mobilizing several fronts at the same time. What I'm trying to say, we still keep the values and norms of Lausanne Treaty. Young diplomats who took part in Lausanne Conference, they have been ambassadors within 10 years' time. Mostly half of the Turkish ambassadors serving abroad at that time took part in Lausanne Conference. It became somewhat an acquis for our institution, Foreign Office, for the government, including with the Montreux region of Straits. And we today somewhat very keen on the implementation of Lausanne and Montreux Conventions, Treaty and Conventions. We are a NATO member now. We are searching for a better relationship with the EU. We have been a member of the Council of Europe, OECD, for 60 years now, 70 years. Atatürk was giving utmost importance to the Western, to the modernization of the country. And what he was telling in 1930s to the Foreign Office that, don't interfere to the internal issues of neighboring countries. Don't take a side with regard to the conflicts among the Arab neighbors. Develop a better relationship with Soviet Russia. Also, but what he was telling that this has to be a measured relationship. Turn your face to the West, but don't be their tool of their imperial objectives. That was in 1930s. Of course, these are the past dictums of Atatürk. I'm not repeating them here, but they were somewhat source of inspiration for us to be so keen on our national sovereignty throughout these years. And when we are looking to our region, we understand the value of the dictum, peace at home, peace abroad. There are several crises around our country. The Ukrainian war was continuing for a long time. I have been there with the Ambassador Vasquez at the same time. Even in 2014, the situation was very volatile and difficult. And we are trying somewhat to keep the stability and peace in the Black Sea. Our government criticized the Russian aggression to Ukraine, but at the same time keeps its contacts with Russia and supporting economic Ukraine. But this enabled Turkey to establish, to make the grain deal through the Straits in cooperation with the UN. This enabled Turkey to get decised last year in Istanbul to negotiate a peace treaty. And this is the moment where two sides were so close to each other to make an agreement. Today, the Turkish government is also trying to make some effort between Israel and the Palestinians. We are sorry for the tragedy which is going on. And we are very much vulnerable to these ongoing conflicts around Turkey in our neighborhood. From time to time, the situation in the South Caucasus is also getting critical. 2 or 3 weeks ago in the Balkans, there has been a tension between Serbia and Kosovo. The best way to approach these conflicts to promote stability, security, and peace in the region. That's the reason we still believe that the norms and values of Lausanne Treaty are both legally and politically valid for the forthcoming decades. We also believe that Lausanne Treaty also serves as a basis for developing a better relationship between Turkey and Greece. This keeps Turkey to play a role of facilitation, good offices in the emerging conflicts. I do believe that the current, also I should mention the Syria. We are having a huge number of refugees from Syria. We are also witnessing from time to time some instability in some parts of Iraq. That's the reason I feel in the collective security understanding of the UN has to be empowered, and the regional actors should be able to contribute to the processes where local ownership could be helpful for making peace treaties possible. Regional and local ownership for the regional security arrangements together with the UN could also be a way to get a better future. I should stop here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Apakan, for this fascinating lesson of history that brought us to the past and conducts us to the future, to the present, as you rightfully marked, because the Montreux Treaty that Turkey applied in this conflict between Russia and Ukraine was essential for maintaining a situation more or less calm and contained in the Black Sea. And that is very, very important, as it was the grain deal that Turkey managed to achieve with the UN and between the two parties that unfortunately Russia is not complying with anymore. But I would give the opportunity for our attendees to pose some questions to you. If are there any questions? Online, maybe? Yes, I think Ambassador Bruno Marco is asking. Sebastian, you are muted. We don't hear you. Sebastian, we don't hear you.
Oh, hello. So first of all, I would like to say hello to Ambassador Apakan because I'm so greatly enjoying, to see you and to say you hello from Buenos Aires. Well, from Entre Rios, I had to come fast yesterday because of some problems here. But it's very good to have the opportunity to hear you, to talk about the Lausanne Treaty, the Montreux Convention, that are so important for the Republic of Turkey, that we are enjoying the first 100 years. I also said to Ambassador Budak that I hope you know that Turkey has the opportunity to show to the world how far has gone in terms of progress, in terms of modernization, in terms of playing an important role in the international arena in these 100 years. So I'm very happy. I'm not going to make any questions because you know much more than me. But I really wanted to take the opportunity to say you hello, welcome to our country, even if it is from far away, and to say thank you to Ambassador Budak for the idea, as to Lila Rodan Vasquez for making it possible. So that's all, and I'm very happy to be joining you all.
¿Tenemos alguna otra?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your nice words. Really, it's a pleasure to meet you again on this occasion. You know, old friends, and it's always exciting to meet them again. And really, I'm in a very friendly atmosphere. Thank you for taking part in this discussion. And thank you again for your nice words. Hope to see you in this part of the world one day. Sabesya, yeah.
Yes, there's another question from the present here. Please introduce yourself.
Yes.
Ambassador Apakan, and pose your question.
Yes, I'm Oscar Muñoz. I thank you very much for your words, very interesting. And would we think that in this era, Turkey is coming back to Middle East like a regional power with great importance in the future?
Well, thank you for the question. I feel that the geography and history is our destiny. We are the neighbors of Mesopotamian countries, I mean, Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And we are enjoying with them bilaterally historical ties. Although we have some questions with Syria, but in the final analysis, our aim to have, the territorial integrity of Syria. We want a compact Syria, a traditional Syria, a peace with peace. Traditionally, we were playing a constructive role, the role of bridge between the East and West. And what I will say, I feel that we have to continue with our peaceful efforts, cooperative efforts with our neighbors. But at the same time, we have to take steps in the direction of West, how to empower our relationship with European countries and Balkan countries, so that we could play our role as a bridge. If one of our leg is Anatolia, the other leg is in Balkans. That's the reason we have to make it. We have to continue with this role in a constructive manner. We don't want to be a part of Middle East conflicts. Rather, we want to be helpful for making better economic and cooperative relations in the region. And we would like to be a part of the solution. This is also valid for the Balkan conflicts, including Kosovo, Serbia, and other conflicts. And in the final analysis, we are a NATO member, and this is important to us. This is important for our stability and security, and NATO is a strong bond between Western alliance and Turkey. That's the reason, for me, this is the most important dimension in our relationship. Of course, we have to promote European Union relationships. And in Europe, nearly 5-6 million Turks are living. And in trade, our major partner is Europe. Another important figure is Russia, because of gas deal, as well as construction and in services. But with third parties, third countries, also with Latin America and Asia countries, we're also developing our trade and investments. That's the reason we are at the middle of these relationships, and we want to keep our focus on our development. Atatürk somewhat pursued a policy of peace and progress. And he also asked us to follow the path of science and reason. I feel that in the 21st century, we have to transform our economy and society to the realities of the 21st century. That's what we are trying to do. With a more pluralistic society, with a more emphasis on, education, culture, and transformation of the society.
Thank you very much. If there are no more questions, Ambassador Budak, would you?
Thank you. I just
say a word to your mentor?
Ambassador Apakan, it was an honor for me personally, and I believe for everybody present here and in person, also virtually, following you and your wise words about the importance of diplomacy and dialogue, especially during these dire times. 60% of the conflicts around the world are taking place in Turkey, around Turkey. We are living in a very difficult neighborhood. Our vicinity, as you know, as Mr. Apakan, Ambassador Apakan mentioned, starting from Ukraine, Russia, South Caucasia, Israel, Palestine, Kosovo, Serbia, all these regions are just maybe a couple of hundreds of kilometers from Turkey's borders. So a stable Turkey, a prosperous country, and conscious of its history, belonging, based on the premises of the treaties of Lausanne and Montreux, I think a sort of guarantee for the stability and security in the region, as wisely and eloquently mentioned by my former ambassador, whom I owe a lot, and I hope to see him soon, maybe again sometime during summer. Again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Kari and Ambassador Vasquez for giving us this opportunity while we are celebrating our 100th anniversary, not only of the Lausanne Treaty, but the foundation of a republic established by Kemal Atatürk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and 1,000 thanks to you, Ambassador Apakan, for being available to have this wonderful conference given to us. I know that we are all very, very grateful and honored to meet you, even virtually, as I told you in my last mail. I hope one day we'll be able to see you again in person.
Well, thank you, really. It was nice to be with you, with colleagues and friends, Argentinian friends from Cari. And really, it was nice to meet two of my former colleagues. And I feel that Turkish-Argentinian relations will be developing further with mutual efforts and also by the efforts of bilateral ambassadors. I mean, Ambassador Budak and the ambassador in Argentina and ambassador in Ankara. Really, thank you very much for your friendship, for your understanding, for hosting me here. It was somewhat exciting for me to address Argentina from such a distance. But I feel that our feelings, our values, and our norms are common, and we have to build on it. Thank you for your friendship. And
thank you. And rest assured that Mr. Budak is doing a very, very good job here in Argentina, not only in Buenos Aires, but he's traveling around the country and he's very active. He's visited Cari several times already. He's our friend, and we appreciate enormously the job he's doing here with us for the bilateral relationship.
Thank you.
So an applause now for me.
thank you. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.